There are many stories old people tell each other about basic scientific principles, although some of them have been refuted many years ago, but these rumors don't go away easily. We will show you some of these myths. Yes, there are a lot of things we don't know about our brains yet, but we know exactly that we use our whole brain. Even if we don't have the data from brain imaging to show that this number, 10%, is completely wrong, this cannot be true using basic logic. Although the brain weighs a few pounds, it requires a lot of energy, about 20% of the oxygen and glucose entering the body. It's unlikely that our brain would have evolved if we didn't use most of it. Although you may not use every part of your brain all the time, you do use your entire brain throughout the day. Feeling like you're not achieving your full potential is very different, but that doesn't mean you're not using your brain to the full every day. From the perspective of Earth, we can see 59% of the Moon's surface, and this percentage is not all at the same time. The remaining 41% never appear during this period. That 41% must be dark and icy, never exposed to the heat of the sun, right? No. This confusion is caused by the tidal locking that makes the Moon appear to be stationary and not rotating. The Moon rotates really slowly, and it completes a revolution around itself in the same amount of time it needs to complete its revolution around the Earth. Although part of the Moon is obscured from the Earth, this has nothing to do with the amount of light it receives. With the exception of eclipses, the sun's rays fall on half of the Moon, just as all half of the Earth receives the day's rays, each at a different time. The sun completely illuminates the face we see from the Moon, and then we see it as a full moon. When parts of the Moon disappear, the sun's rays falling on it cannot be seen. Although there is a region of the Moon that we call the far side of the Moon, it is no less dark than the face we can see. A long-standing myth, especially among those who work with the elderly or those with intellectual disabilities, that full moons exhibit strange behavior in people. This myth is widespread for several reasons, one of which is that the water in the brain is affected by the tidal forces of the Moon. Many people claim that violent crime increases during these times, and even UK police stations increase the number of police during the full moon in anticipation of an influx of crime and accidents. This topic has been studied more than once, and there is a slight and simple agreement between the full moon and the increase in strange behavior, and certainly no direct cause has been discovered. Although some studies have shown an increase in crime during the full moon, it can be explained by the fact that it occurred during weekends or breaks. You don't have to be afraid of the full moon and strange behavior because of it. Of course, unless you are a werewolf. When attending any kid's birthday party, cake, ice cream, and sugary drinks will make anyone believe that sugar induces hyperactivity. There is no evidence to support this, apart from a small group with insulin disturbances associated with certain psychiatric disorders. The activity and energy observed during birthday parties can be explained by being with other children or receiving gifts. Other ingredients, such as caffeine, could be causing the hyperactivity. This doesn't mean you shouldn't cut back on sugar intake. The average American consumes 156 pounds of sugar each year. By comparison, Americans about 200 years ago were using 3 to 5 pounds a year. The rate of sugar is associated with weight gain, insulin resistance, and high blood pressure, all of which increase the risk of certain cancers. Lightning does not strike the same place twice is a phrase used when something bad happens once and cannot happen again. Unfortunately, this phrase has nothing to do with real lightning. Lightning strikes are a massive static discharge, looking for a place to discharge, and they are not interested in whether the place itself has been struck by lightning before. Taller objects, such as trees and skyscrapers, are better targets due to the shorter distance between them and the origin of the lightning bolt. The tallest tree in a forest may be struck by lightning more than once. Lightning strikes a building about 100 times a year. NASA released a study in 2003 that included 386 lightning bolts from clouds to Earth, about a third of these strikes hitting several places at the same time. So lightning strikes not only twice, but may strike two places at the same time. If you climb to the top of a building and then throw a coin towards the sidewalk, it won't kill anyone. The coins are light in weight, about 1 gram, and form a flat circle. When they reach the top speed, 1055 km/h, they will not hurt the person standing on the sidewalk. They will be like a flick effect on the head, really annoying, but not fatal. But throwing objects that are larger or have aerodynamic properties that increase their top speed will certainly cause more damage. Construction areas require workers to wear hard hats to protect their heads from rocks and stones that may accidentally descend from great heights. While it might seem logical that pushing and spacing the joints to pop might somehow lead to arthritis, a painful regression of the joint's mechanism, studies haven't shown any connection. Donald Unger published a paper in which he showed that cracking the knuckles of his left hand every day for 60 years compared to after doing it in his right hand did not affect his left hand or its joints healthy. Synovial fluid, the fluid in the joint that cushions friction in synovial joints such as the fingers, knees, and hips. When the joints are stretched, the articular capsule continues to depressurize the inside of the capsule, resulting in the release of gas bubbles. The pressure on the joints causes a sound that is the sound of the bubble bursting, and then the articular capsule returning to its normal size. The source of the popping sound can also be the muscle tendons, which can decrease muscle tone over time. If there is pain associated with cracking the joints of the fingers, the cause may be damaged joints that need treatment anyway. Other than a small amount of sweeteners and flavorings, there is nothing in the gum that the human body can actually digest and use. The body of the gum is made of rubbery particles called elastin, as well as glycerin and vegetable oils to keep the gum soft and moist. The rest of the gum is thrown out with the droppings like anything else. This does not mean that swallowing frankincense is a good idea, as swallowing a large amount of it may cause constipation and blockage of the gastrointestinal path, and needs medical intervention. Chewing gum may stick to indigestible materials such as coins and small toys, increasing the chance of intestinal blockage and injury. Although frankincense won't stay in your body for 7 years, it's best to throw it in the trash. This myth appears every flu season. Antibiotics kill bacteria by definition. Seasonal cold and influenza are viruses that are not affected by these antibiotics. The use of antibiotics in other than bacterial diseases may be wrong and even cause more problems. The wrong use of antibiotics may create resistant germs to those antibiotics, which have increased in importance in the recent period, as they may eventually lead to the formation of superbugs that infect us with diseases much worse than the basic germ. That's all for today. Don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends, and also tell us in the comments section about ideas for upcoming videos.